If it's religion you're selling or anything else, we're not interested, Raylen said in a deep Texas drawl. He held a glass of tea in one hand and the door handle in the other, and the expression on his face said he was as shocked as she was. I wonder why Hooter didn't bark. Maybe because he knows me, Liz answered. She felt the heat of his gaze as he started at her spiked heels and traveled all the way to the top of her head. She reached up and tucked several strands of her jet black hair into a shiny silver clasp. You are Raylen, aren't you? She asked. Yes, I am. And who are you? He asked. I'm Liz, and I now own this place and land, she said with a flick of her hand to take in more than just the house. Liz? Raylen's expression changed to one of disbelief. Surprise, she said with a smile. What are you doing here? Could Raylen really be the cowboy Santa was going to leave under her Christmas tree? He'd sure enough been the one she had in mind when she asked for a cowboy. She'd visualized him in tight-fitting jeans and boots when she was younger. Lately, she'd changed her vision to nothing but a Santa hat and the boots. His hair was still a rich, dark brown, almost black until the sunlight lit up the deep chestnut color. His eyes were exactly as she remembered, pale, icy blue rimmed with dark brown lashes. It all added up to a heady combination. Enough to make her want to tangle her hands up in all that dark hair and kiss him. She looked up, but there was no mistletoe hanging in the doorway. She'd have to remedy that when she decorated the house for the holiday. Cowboys have roots, not wings. Don't get involved with one, or you'll smother to death in a remote backwoods farm, or else die of boredom. Her mother's voice whispered so close to her ear that she turned to make sure Marva Jo Hanson hadn't followed her to Ringgold, Texas. Raylen stood to one side and motioned her into the house. I came to feed and water Hooter and Blister. Haskell asked me to do that until you got here. We met when we were kids, remember? I do, she answered. How could she forget? She'd been in love with Raylen O'Donnell since she was 14 years old. Haskell said that if you didn't like it here, he'd sell me your 20 acres, he blurted out. That won't happen, and you sure are blunt, she said as she scanned the living room that was exactly like she remembered it, down to the well-worn leather sofa and hassock where she'd snuggled in to read romance books about cowboys the last time she was there. I'm going to live here. Uncle Haskell said, if I like it, he'll deed the place over to me in the spring. The place isn't for sale and won't ever be. And do what? Ringgold isn't very big. Raylen's tone was filled with exasperation. She shrugged. I don't know. Pet the cat, feed the dog. That won't make a living, lady, Raylen said. She propped both hands on her hips. I don't reckon what I do for a living is one bit of your business, cowboy. Never in all the scenarios that she'd imagined had he been cross with her like this. He'd kissed her. He'd swept her off her feet and carried her to a big white pickup truck, and they'd driven off into the Texas sunset. He'd smiled and said that he remembered her well, and she'd grown up into a beautiful woman. But he hadn't argued. She brushed against his chest as she headed into the kitchen to make herself a glass of tea. She'd had Raylen on a pedestal for more than a decade, and he didn't even recognize her. He was probably married and had 3 or 4 kids, too. That was the way her luck ran. So why should today be any different? When she fanned past him, she got a whiff of his cologne, the same kind he'd worn all those years ago. I'll take over feeding the cat and dog, she said. Thanks for what you've done until I could get here. He dug into his pocket and handed her an old key ring with 2 keys on it.